Is there a balance to that?
Yeah. Yeah, there is. I think just, making sure that you're right. Societally, things have changed so much. The one thing I can say about the pandemic, with the forced close downs of businesses, did bring family together, more people spending more time in the house, and so we kind of got back to kind of some of the basics, which is really good. But I think, just that balance, you have to create it. Making sure that, you create that family time, making sure you create that social time and pull them away. Like I said, everything is okay in moderation. Your child should not be spending 8 or 10 hours on social media. Mine are teenagers, and I still sometimes implement like phone curfews during school week. They hate it, but I'm like, at 10 o'clock, it's time to go to bed. Give me the phone. And so they might think I'm old fashioned, but I'd rather do that than to have them up at 2 or 3 in the morning, and then they got to get up and try to go to class at 6 or 7. It's just, and so just setting those rules, and they'll be fine. They'll thank you for it later.
Survive.
They will.
They'll survive. They really make it seem like they won't. They're like, oh no, Mom, why'd you? I had a situation where, you took my phone. I'm going to kill myself. Why did you do that? I'm like, dude, you do know that that's a thing, right? It's okay for me to take your phone from you. I'm the parent. And it's 8 o'clock. Why aren't you getting ready for bed? But
right.
It eventually became a joke. But the point is, she was like, but Mom, why would you do this to me? And I'm like, dude, seriously? You're going to really sit here and ask me like why I would do this to you? Because I need you to go do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
I can do it with my phone in my hand. No, you can't. Because if you could, you would have already done it. So,
but you know what though? I remember science saying at one point or another that for a child to lose a pet was more devastating than a person losing a spouse. Right? Now, I think about that concept, and I think about now how children are offing themselves over something way more minute than anything else, more emotionally involved in that. What in the hell is going on where we have gotten that far out of touch? I can understand losing a pet, but a cell phone or not being able to be online, what is going on? There has to be something wrong.
Yeah, so what's going on is it's called social media. But remember, our kids in the adolescent stage and the teen years, they are in social development. And so when it gets disrupted by something at the magnitude of social media, right, and they literally are thwarted. They are literally handicapped. I have had parents bring in kids with severe anxiety because they don't know how to converse. They've lost the skill of socialization because guess what? The virtual world, it's almost like in the 70s and 80s where people said, don't let the TV babysit your kids, right? This is the same concept that we have to implement and remind parents of. Don't let social media and the internet babysit your kids. Don't just give them. It's okay that digitally kids can learn more and information and stuff is there for them and available for them, but don't let them sit there for 5 hours. If you're teaching them their alphabet, sit there with them, let them learn it on the little laptop or whatever the case is, and pull it away. You have to still give that human to human connection. I have had situations where people have literally brought their kids in because they have social anxiety because guess what? They don't go outside. You don't see kids outside playing anymore. You see kids go home, they go in and they sit in front of a TV. You have to make them get out, go to the parks, see nature. These are things that family are responsible for doing. And so they can't blame it all on social media. I mean, you have to take that parental role and say, no, you can't sit in front of video games all day. There is she was right. There's a video game addiction. That literally is a thing, you have to be able to make sure that your kids have friends outside of the virtual world. Now you have virtual reality where they can put on a headpiece and they literally can be talking and playing a game with 5 or 6 other people in different states or different countries. And those become their virtual friends, but, they're doing that all week. And so then you take them to a wedding or something where they have to socialize in real life and they don't know how to, and they have anxiety and it acts of, it triggers mental health conditions because the parents have allowed these concepts and these digital tools and stuff to take over and entertain them kids. And then they have not put them in a place where they say, look, it's mandatory that you only are on that for 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
2 hours. That's it. You don't get to play the game after homework till 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so parents have to make sure they're parenting, and they have to make sure that they're firm, fair, and consistent. You know, it's like I said, it's no different than in the ages where we grew up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. We were telling people, don't let the TV babysit your kid. Now it's not TV, it's social media, computers, laptops. So it's the same concept, you know, so parents have to be more hands-on, you know.
And I think that's part of the problem too. I think some parents don't want to be hands-on. It's kind of like, okay, well,
no.
You know, no, some of them don't. I'm gonna be honest. Some of them don't. They talk about it. They talk about all of the things your child is doing incorrectly or is a violation or, you know, what they're not doing. But it's kind of like, what kind of time are you putting into your child?
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's really parents out there that's okay with here. Okay, I don't feel like dealing with you. You're, you know, go over there with your crybaby self and, you know what, turn the tablet on and, you know, and that's their lifestyle. So then it's kind of like, okay, so I've developed a child who can't take no for an answer. Now it's everybody else's fault. Especially when that child goes to visit other adults and other adults are like, wait, why did you just give her? No, okay, well, this is what she just did. That's not okay. Well, girl, I don't even want to deal with that right now. Wait, what? But then you're going to
No, you're right. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, because that makes you now a crutch for that behavior. You don't actually correct it or deal with it.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's time for the parents to take some accountability in that, you know. Again, my motto is firm, fair, and, you know, consistent. You know, be firm about it, be fair and give them some time, but be consistent, you know. If they're out having a tantrum and throwing their head and screaming in the middle of the store, you're not going to let them embarrass you like that, you know. Some parents may, depending on their parenting style, give them a piece of candy to shut them up, you know, or they take the computer and, you know, and they give it back. Okay, I just don't want to hear them crying. No, that's not the answer. That's not the remedy. You have to parent, you know, you have to be hands-on and make sure that your kids know how to behave appropriately.
Which sounds to me like reinforcement, which means that you don't, again, you just said like, don't take it away and then give it back, because then you kind of take your own authority figure away from them. You want to reinforce your figure. And it's not that you have to be more aggressive. It's just a reinforcement. Once again, I said, no, this is why. Sometimes you need to follow up with the why so that they get it. It's embedded. Okay, she's going to say this again if this is the situation. Or, okay, if I come back and this is still the same, it's going to be this.
Exactly. That leads us into our setting boundaries, especially again with our mental health in 2020. Like, we got to learn to set boundaries. And that's with our children. That's with our friends. That's with our family members. That's with anybody.
That's we consume that spiritually, mentally.
Yeah.
Physically.
Exactly. And I think a lot of that too is sometimes, you know, I'm human. I have moments where I feel like, you know what, I don't want to deal with this, or this is annoying me. And I was just explaining to Jazzy a little bit earlier that it's times where I'll call her one day and at least I'll tell her I'm okay. You know what I mean? I'm completely fine. I'm this and oh girl, I'm just working this, that, and the third. And 2 days later, I'm on the phone like, hey, girl, I don't know what just happened. I had a whole mental breakdown, but it's kind of kind of like I gotta set my boundaries too. You know what I mean? And that's just with myself. It's by saying, okay, one of my boundaries is I don't want to cross this line, but it's okay for me to communicate and say, hey, no, I'm not okay. No, I am feeling this kind of way. No, I am doing this, but that doesn't mean I have to go all off into debt and tell you my whole life story and all this other stuff. No, let's set some boundaries and tell me what's wrong. Open up to me. You get what I'm saying? And also, that also means if Jazzy says to me, okay, well, Ebony, we're going to focus on what's really bothering you versus other things, she's setting her boundaries. I'm here for you. I'm not sure what you got going on with your friend down here on that, but that ain't got nothing to do with me. But let me tell you what you could do. You get what I'm saying? So setting boundaries is definitely important. And also being able to ask for help or say something. Because we're not mind readers. You get what I'm saying? I don't know what's going on. So you just going to attempt to kill yourself when you could have called me and spoke to me? Well, I didn't know if you cared. Well, you call me for everything else. Like when you want to go to the winery. So you can call me and say, hey, this is what's going on.
This is a question, though, Sharita, that maybe I can ask you pertaining to what she's talking about. How do we break the barrier? How do we break the taboo around mental health and it being a labeling factor that you're going to go see somebody because that makes you crazy or you're bipolar or you how do we make it better for people?
Okay, so across the board, culturally, a lot of people. This is the analogy I give for men and women. I say gym is likened to the gym. When you go and lift weights, sometimes you need a spotter to help get things off your chest. Your therapist is like your spotter. They help to lift those heavy things off your chest so you can feel better. Same thing. And then the other analogy I say is therapy is like a spa day. It's a safe space for you to refresh your mind, to, release some, toxic thoughts, and to really get the therapeutic support you need. And it's a great part of your self-care. And so start talking about therapy as a part of your self-care. A lot of people are catching on culturally for, the African-American community. I love the millennials. I love you guys, like you're making therapy like the place to be. I mean, I have had people literally come, to therapy, like fresh hair done, nails did, and they like, I'm doing my therapy. I'm going shopping. I'm going to eat at my favorite restaurant. I'm doing my whole self-care day today for my birthday, so right. Period. Yeah. They got their sip, their wine.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. And normalize it. So yeah, you're right. Normalize it and make sure that, when you tell a person to make sure you take care of yourself, there's no negative connotation to that. So normalize it and make it a part of just taking care of yourself. It's just a part of your self-care. It's a great part of your self-care. It's no different than when we go to the gym and say we're going to work out. We don't go one time in our entire life. It's something that's ongoing through life. We're always working on being healthy and fit in some type of way. So therapy is that same thing. Always make it a part of a space for you to take care of yourself and make yourself feel good. That's what it's about.
Which is what I've started. Like I said, I will not answer the phone. Look, if it's an emergency, I have a whole house phone. Yes, I have a house phone. Yeah. Call that.
You have your boundaries.
Exactly. I set my boundaries. If I don't want to be bothered, I won't.
It's up to you to not deviate from your own boundaries, not for people. You can expect people to respect them all you want to, but it's up to you not to deviate from them, whether they do or not.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true. So boundaries are just that. Boundaries is just a part of taking care of yourself. That's it. It doesn't mean that you're trying to be antisocial or standoffish or anything like that. It's an essential part of, stable mental and emotional health. You have to, because everybody's not going to set boundaries. You know what I mean? People, when they have an urgency, they want to make it your emergency. And we have to know the difference, and we have to understand and know and be able to tell people like, look, I'm sorry that you're in a tight space, but I'm in a space where I can't do anything about it, or that's not just something I can do. Being able to just protect ourselves and know that it's okay. Don't look at it as you're doing
behind protecting your energy. That is how you protect your energy.
Exactly. No hashtag cliche, but this is what it means to protect your energy.
That is
so. Let me kind of switch reels really quick. It has a lot to do with mental health, but also voting. With everything going on right now, with the lingering who's going to be president, how do you think that plays on mental health in 2020, considering everything we got going on? COVID, people losing their houses, people not working. Now we got to sit here and we in lingo about who our president is going to continue to be, or who, if we're going to get a new president, like how is that affecting our mental health?
Well, I definitely think that it's increasing anxiety. It's making people feel a little distressed and depressed because people see how divided our country really is. I mean, and so people are looking at that, my advice to people is just to make sure you're implementing your self-care, make sure you stick close to your loved ones, and make sure you're taking care of yourself holistically, mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally, all around. Because it is causing, a lot of stress. The enormity of the things that this pandemic has caused, none of us could have ever been prepared for it. So the remedy to it right now for instant mental stability is self-care and making sure you're setting boundaries. That's it. I mean, those are the top two remedies.
Love.
Yeah. Self-love. Yes.
Self-care, self-love.
No matter who who they voted for, just vote in favor of the human race. That is what we are in huge need of right now. We don't need to be any more divided as a country. We need to be more united as a people. Because we know what propaganda is here for. We know what the whole political presidency is for. So no matter what, let's keep in perspective who who else is
who's in control? Exactly. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna say this